Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to remind everybody, one of my new sponsors, which is Flare Naming Service, I'll put the link to this in the top of the description, they're going to be launching in May for their .flare domain names, which will be like you can use it as a payment pointer. I think I said it last time. So you'll be able to like literally put in your addresses and be paid. So if I think that they're giving me dai.flare. And so you'd be able to pay dai.flare, and it would I can go in and set up all of my different wallet addresses. I can say, well, send me XRP to this address, and I just go in and input my XRP address, and automatically I can use it to receive payments. An easy way to tell people how to pay me. Well, they're launching their early launch reservation. This is what I signed up for, this $10 reservation. And this way, I'll get to find out, it's either 24 hours ahead of everybody else. I'll be able to go in and have a shot at some of the more premium domains, like, back in the .com, some of those were like business.com and things like that. And so by paying the $10, it's going to give me early access to it. And they're going to launch on May 27th. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can also sign up for their newsletter and they'll let you know, I guess after that 24 hours is over, that you can go in and buy the domains. So the link to that will be in the top of the description. It's on the home page. When you go to the link, just scroll down and you can do the early launch reservation or sign up for the free newsletter. John Deaton, there's a huge misunderstanding on CT and YouTube. Only motions that have been pending more than 6 months must be reported on a list to Congress. The 6-month list does not apply to Judge Torres' summary judgment ruling because the motion has been pending for a little over 3 months. And then this is the important part right here. There's no deadline of today he's talking about yesterday, for her to rule. The decision could come out within the next hour or could take another 30 to 60 days based on previous cases. Judge Torres has issued her ruling on summary judgment within a couple of months of her Daubert expert's decision, which she's already made. So what's cool about this, 30 to 60 days is basically the final window here in the next 30 to 60 days. What I think would be really cool, because XRP Las Vegas is in 34 days, 7 hours, 51 minutes, 19 seconds. What would be really cool is if that decision came before this, and so everybody got to, and it was hopefully a favorable decision, and that everybody got to stand in that room together and celebrate. That would be really cool. eGreg Crypto, XRP, I love these terms that eGreg Crypto comes up with. I don't know, or maybe he doesn't come up with them. Maybe this is chart terminology. I don't know, because I don't do charts. That's why I show people like him and what they do. The secret of 10th candle. For Pythagoras, it's been a while since I studied Greek mythology. 10 was the symbol of the universe, and it also expressed the whole of human knowledge. The number 10 is regarded as the most perfect of numbers because it contains the unit that did it all, the zero, symbol of matter and chaos, of which, and I don't even know what all he's talking about here, but XRP, let's get down to this. XRP is now in the 9th quarter candle, and the 10th quarter candle starts on the 1st of July, 2023. Check out my chart. Men and women lie, but charts and numbers do not lie. Stay steady. Then Dark Defender, XRP based on EW, completed wave 1 at around 59 cents. Wave 2 will find support between 48, I think we're at 51 cents or so right now, 48 and 38, 38 cents for W3 as a structure aims between, by the way, $2 and $3.47 by the end of this year. However, this wave 3 above $1.33 will be predecessor of the grand wave 3. Scenario 2 will follow. So that's what they're thinking. I wanted to just share with you something This is a little video I put together. I've been watching the show on Netflix, which is excellent, about Pablo Escobar and the drug cartels down in Colombia back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or 80s, 90s, I guess. And I was watching Narcos. I was on the treadmill yesterday. I'm watching Narcos, and this one scene hit me. After they killed Pablo Escobar, okay, then they went to go after, and this is season 3, they went to go after the other cartels. The Cali cartel was the one that controlled New York City. They're out of Colombia, just like Pablo Escobar, I guess. But they control, their biggest city that they controlled was New York City, the cocaine distribution. And I was watching this one scene, and they said they chose it for obvious reasons, because of the population, it's high demand of cocaine. Well, they said the other reason they chose it is because they could ship the number one ingredient in cocaine into New York in the highest amounts. And that number one ingredient was ether. Now, folks, when I saw this, I was like, no way. Because what I've seen, if you remember in the Ethereum ICO, the disguised whales, I've never really heard a story about what Ethereum was named after. And what hit me immediately when I saw these barrels of ether is I literally, because I've had this hunch that Bitcoin and Ethereum were not just prototypes for the last 10 years, but I've had this hunch that part of the reason of the creation, part of the reason we already know that the government has pretended they don't know who Satoshi is when they do. Why would you do that? Why would you spend the last 10 plus years acting like you don't know who Satoshi is? And what else have they done for the last 10 plus years? Is they've had the media go out and say, well, this is for money launderers and drug dealers. And so what would the money launderers and the drug dealers do? They would go into these things thinking that they were transacting in secret. It would be a way to throw a net around them. So what I'm wondering, because here's the other part of this. So Ethereum, we don't know how it got its name. And I'm sure they have a story for how it got its name. But what I'm wondering is, did they name it after ether as kind of like a play on the money laundering and drug thing? Did they name it knowing that it would partially be used to capture the bad guys in a net? That is my question. And on the surface, that might sound crazy, okay? But remember a couple of things. First, remember when we were uncovering ETHgate, remember Steven Narioff? He's the guy that had to come, he's the guy that tried to come up with how they could get out from under being called a security. And as he said, to prevent from going to jail. He came up with the concept of, and he didn't call it Ethereum, he called it ether. Ether is the gas as a product. And that's what, and he, remember the video, it's in this video, I'm not going to play it though. He came up with the concept of ether as being a product, as a gas, kind of like ether, a product as a part of the recipe of cocaine. And then that's how they created this and got the SEC to look the other way on calling it a security back during the ICO. Then what happened during the ICO? Well, disguised whales happened. Some people could say potential money laundering happened. What did they do in the cocaine trade? It was all about, making money off cocaine, but also money laundering. How would you catch them? Well, this may all sound crazy to you until I tell you the last part of this. When we were uncovering ETHgate, there were 3 books that I looked over to see if we could find other things that went on behind the scenes in the founding of Ethereum. One of those books, they were all pro-Ethereum books. One of them was called Out of the Ether. And I remembered the cover of that book when I saw this clip on Narcos. What is that on the cover of that book? And my question is, did this author, did he know that maybe it was named after that primary ingredient in cocaine? That's my question. And maybe he didn't. Maybe it's pure coincidence. Maybe he's trying to make this look like maybe a spray or a something. But to me, if you look at the cover of that book, it literally looks like either cocaine on a table or cocaine that's been thrown into the air against a black backdrop. Anyway, Maybe there's nothing to that. But what I've learned is that there are no coincidences, folks. India to settle trade in Indian rupees with certain countries instead of US dollars, Commerce Secretary says. And then you've got this. Chinese yuan surpasses the euro to become Brazil's second largest currency in foreign reserves. Then we get this Bitcoin maxi here thinks he's being smart. He says, imagine being in the XRP army and hanging your entire bull thesis on helping banks transfer money faster instead of embracing Bitcoin freedom money. Well, first thing, the Cowboy Crypto, the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel, said, take some notes, Mark.
If you approach the regulators with you need to adapt to us, I mean, that is dead on arrival. Like in my experience, and globally, and frankly, even here in Davos, meeting with financial regulators in all kinds of countries, I think we have to acknowledge. Ben Bernanke, the former head of the U.S. Fed, came to one of Ripple's customer events, and one of the things he said is, countries will not give up their ability to control monetary supply. They will roll tanks into the streets first because it's giving up sovereignty. Now, we can debate whether or not some countries at the longer tail ever had control of their money supply. But the G20, I think I agree with Jeremy that digital cash, cash is anonymous and private and all those things. But if you ever walk into the bank and ask to withdraw $20,000 of cash, they're going to ask you a lot of questions.
That's what the adults in the room have been saying for years, folks. Now, I responded to Mark Moss as well. And I said, imagine being a Bitcoin maxi and having video of Homeland Security agents saying that Homeland Security met with the 4 Satoshis and not asking yourself why the U.S. government would continue to pretend that Satoshi was unknown. That's the question, folks. Eleanor Terrett knew, as a direct result of continued regulatory uncertainty and lack of interest from U.S. regulators regarding sensible policies, Bittrex has made the difficult decision to wind down and will close its U.S. operations effective April 30th. So Gary has done his job for Wall Street now. So what's going to happen here is maybe one of Gary's friends on Wall Street, one of his banks or brokerage firms will come in and buy Bittrex, and that way they can use and buy them on the cheap, by the way, and they'll be able to use Bittrex infrastructure to provide digital assets since they are legitimate because Gary and them said so. They are Wall Street. And then Gary, look at this. This is the SEC Commissioner of the United States on April Fool's Day, literally making fun of the same people in crypto that he's been attacking all this time. He put on the same glasses that those guys were using for when they were doing NFTs and the monkeys and all that stuff. He's literally poking fun at everybody in crypto. And I said, he's now openly mocking crypto, and why wouldn't he? It's not like Congress is doing anything to hold him accountable, besides talking and tweeting, and in the upcoming hearings, maybe asking a couple of tough questions. The government overreach will not end until the bad guys' action is matched with action, not words and tweets and hard questions, but action. You know, the kind of action that Congress, my understanding is Congress has the power to pull the freaking funding of the SEC for anything crypto related, or even have Gary Gensler fired. That's the way I understand it. Stuart Alderati is not in a good mood about it. He says, suddenly now saying you haven't prejudged every crypto with the possible exception of Bitcoin as a security after being called out for publicly prejudging every crypto as a security doesn't unring the bell. Words have consequences even for unelected senior bureaucrats. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Tell your friends and family that words have consequences. Or another way of saying that is that words mean things. Thanks for listening.